All right, good to see you guys this morning. All right, this is going to be fast. We got 4 lead gen companies in 30 minutes. But here's the thing. Everybody wants to know about lead gen. What's working right now? All these companies are doing an amazing job of it, but they're all doing it in different ways. So first question we got for you guys straight from our audience is, what's working in lead gen right now?
So Robert, one of the things that we've seen is live events, getting face-to-face with quality prospects, telling your founder's story, talking about why you got in the business. It resonates with people and they move through to becoming a client faster. This is supported by Track That Advisor's independent aggregate study that showed that over 25% of production came from live events last year.
All right, who wants to comment on that next?
So I'll go. Paid search is working really well, especially with deep personalization and keeping the consumer engaged even after they complete the form.
What's working for us is if you're targeting pre-retirees, video on Facebook that is educational around retirement planning is working really well and it's working at scale.
What I would say about the keynote yesterday was all about being different is better than being better. And I think no matter what channel you're in, you have to find a way to be different. There's just so much generic advisor marketing out there, to be honest. And if you can find like the one thing that you can be known for and just hammer that home, I think you're going to do a much better job of attracting response than otherwise.
So you're all generating a lot of leads for advisors right now. Advisors many times will say, hey, I'm getting these leads, they're not converting, they're not closing. I know you see the advisors that do this well. You got firms that are generating millions of dollars in revenue, and you got firms that are generating nothing, and they're saying the leads are terrible, right? So what's the difference between the firms that are succeeding with third-party lead gen services and those who are not?
I'd love to take this. So one of our biggest partners generates over half their AUM from leads that are over 6 months old, which is crazy because most advisors, they might get 10, 15, 20 leads. They're like, oh, they didn't respond. I left a voicemail, didn't call back. They try like 3 or 4 times, nothing. But if you're giving up on your leads before 6 months, you're effectively handing half your revenue to another firm that's more persistent than you. And so you got to stick with it. You got to have a system that is just going to put in the reps and ultimately you'll get the outcomes.
Half the leads, half of the business from leads that are over 6 months old.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
I think it's understanding the consumer and what they're looking for. To them, you guys are all the same. You have the same products, the same investments, the same options. So they're buying you, the person, and as a mentor to guide them through the process. They're going to land the one retirement plane, which is theirs. You've navigated the airstrip 100 or 1,000 times. So they're going to look to you for that guidance, and they're going to want to trust that you're the right person. So I think getting face-to-face and building those emotional connections is key.
I want to dig in for a minute on this. If they're working with you, they're doing events and their face is there. Your firms don't work that way. They're getting the leads, it's digital, right? So from your perspective, I think it's probably easier for a lot of us as advisors, we've done this before, we're in front of people to close business when they've met us and we've shaken their hand. So just for context, now as you answer this, we're talking about you're starting from a different place when it's digital, right? So what are you seeing that is working, for example, at Wiser Advisor?
Yeah, so I'll say this. Speed to lead is important, but everybody knows that.
What was it? I'm sorry, what was
I
that?
said speed to lead is important.
Speed to lead, thank you.
Right? Being consistent, as you mentioned. But I think for us, what we're seeing is helping advisors stand out. The easy way to do that is to do something that your competition is not doing. Reviews, for example. Creating that engagement with that consumer to ensure that they pick up that next call or they open that email. And if you can show them why you're different, you'll create that initial engagement, which will then lead to like deeper conversations.
Can you give us an example of that?
So, we had a large RIA that we helped them publish 1,500 compliant reviews last year, and they 5x'd their lead spend with us because of the uplift that they saw.
What was the thing that they were doing that was different, that was making people open or click or take action?
I think, they had a consistent process. They had metrics they were tracking all the way down, not only, leads, sales qualified leads, appointments, but they also looked at how much effort it took to set those appointments. So they really understood their metrics and they optimized towards those.
Interesting. Alex?
For us with virtual, you don't have the advantage of being in office. So your office equivalent is your Google search. So when somebody types in your name plus financial advisor, what do they see? If you haven't worked on that, you should work on that, because you should put as much energy that you put into that into an actual in-person office. And the second thing with virtual is a lot of advisors overcomplicate, simplifying the concepts and being planning focused instead of performance focused. We've seen that work really well, and also covering all the bases. So you might be losing clients to people that are also taking care of their estate planning and tax planning and income generation and retirements, and also healthcare. Covering all those bases will help you close more business and keeping it simple.
So advisors have a choice when it comes to lead gen. They can build their own lead gen program. They can buy leads that have been sourced to multiple advisors. They can do events or run a lead gen program through a third party where they are getting their exclusive leads. And I know there are pros and cons to all these different approaches. As you think about that landscape, what advice would you give advisors to help them choose what's right for them? If they say, I want to turn on the funnel and I want to get more activity into my system and I've got all these choices, how do you help them make this choice when they're evaluating their options?
I would say for us, I highly recommend that advisors get educated on marketing. So you want to learn the different practices of marketing, whether it's branding or performance marketing, so that when you're making decisions when it comes to your long-term strategy, you're making them with a strategic eye versus just a tactic of, oh, I'm going to buy 10 leads from here and see if it's going to work or not. So I highly recommend, whether you go with anybody, get educated on marketing in general for you to make the best decision for your firm and your vision.
Yeah, I think it's all about specialization. Like, based on the size of your firm and how much you're willing to invest in marketing, like, do you really want to go learn this totally complex, different skill, and how much time do you want to invest in that? Like, I could see kind of a barbell strategy where you say, okay, I'm going to do paid lead generation according to this system offered by a provider like one of us, but I'm also going to investigate like this one channel, like LinkedIn, based on some of the other presenters we've had, or maybe it's a Facebook thing or YouTube. Like, if you've got a solid niche and a channel that makes sense for it, like, you could spend some time on that. But ultimately, I think, economically, we know that like specialization works, and I just don't think it's to your advantage if you're a smaller advisor to waste your time like figuring things out that other people already know. As much as it sounds great to like liberate yourself from like having to pay somebody else to generate the leads, like, it's not a good use of your time often.
Okay, so I want to dig into this, and I want you all to keep a pin in the question because I'd like to get your perspective on it. But just for a second, Brian, because Smart Asset is a firm that, I mean, you're, I think, arguably the largest lead gen provider in the space. You're prolific, but I think everybody probably knows that you sell the leads to multiple advisors, right?
Yeah.
And that those leads are being generated from all different sources online for all different audiences and all different scenarios and stages of life. One person's like doing a mortgage calculator and another one's doing like a totally different type of calculator, right?
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about advisors being different and having that differentiation.
Yep.
Why is that important when you could say arguably those leads could be anybody? Why not just have a general message? 'Cause surely you see this all the time and the difference it makes.
Yeah, well, I think the differences that I'm talking about are like how you're connecting through each touch point. Like, we've got advisors that have found these really subtle ways to show that they are like human, that they're different. So one guy says, sound familiar, which sounds so basic, but I've signed up for some advisors myself, and I see these just super generic outreach programs. I'm like, nobody's going to care about that, and then there's other ways you can do it. Some people will find out where their leads live and they'll send them like something in the mail. Like, that's special. A lot of advisors that are successful will actually offer a free financial plan, or they'll say, hey, let me give you 2 hours of complimentary advice. Like, I think that's relevant for everybody. The thing about people that come to Smart Asset is like, there's just such a wide range of financial questions that they might be trying to answer. Your job is to figure out like what are their pain points and like how am I uniquely positioned to solve them. And so I think any intelligent advisor can kind of do that and figure it out.
That's good. I like the idea of leading with the human touch. Do any of you see advisors using video as that first touch point successfully to really introduce themselves? Is that a common practice?
Yeah, I don't want to hog the stage, but it's a very popular tactic. Like, you'll get a much higher response if you're sending a personalized video, or you're including like a Calendly link. Like, I can't tell you how many times somebody says, I include a Calendly link in all my outreach, and like people I've never ever spoken with will just book meetings on my calendar 6 months out. And so it's all about like, these people have needs. They're not necessarily ready to like sign the dotted line, but if you stay in front of them and show that like you can relate to what they're talking about, then when they're ready, they're going to be like, oh, there's that guy, and I can just book an appointment.
Yeah.
So
I think there's another approach too, and we've actually had clients that have worked with both of it. And I think it's important to note that you don't have to pick one solution. You can actually use multiple. We've had clients, advisors that have reached out to leads from Smart Asset and invited them to come to their local dinner event, using reciprocity as a way to be different and stand out and build relationships with consumers. So think of it like a financial plan. You don't go in with one product or one solution. You use a variety of things to accomplish your goal, and you can do the same thing with your marketing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rishi.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, yes, we've definitely seen advisors who've had success use a multitude of options. Video is one, social is one. The idea is, can you address the need of that client? Most consumers who come looking for a financial, advisor, it's more of a latent need. So, we educate advisors on find out what triggered that. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, I need to speak to an advisor. There's an event. So find out what that motivation is, and once you're able to address that need, that's when you can create some more meaningful engagement.
Excellent. All right, last question, then we're going to get into these micro presentations for a minute. Advisor sitting in the audience says, I don't want to buy leads, I want to build my own lead gen system. You guys have built lead gen systems, made all the mistakes, all right? What's the number one piece of advice you're going to give to somebody who wants to start working on their own lead gen system? Where should they start?
I'll take that. For those of you who were here last evening for the fireside chat, I think Josh Brown answered that really well. Start small, be consistent, and do something that is in your area of expertise. Also understand the impact that's going to have. If you want something that is of immediate impact, and I know this is going to sound self-serving, it's the easiest thing to do is buy leads or to ingest leads from a third party. What you're building will pay dividends in the long run, and I highly recommend. Everyone here has a unique perspective on what they're doing. You have the power of social media. You've got short form videos. Use that, be authentic, and you will attract the type of clients that you want.
I'll go next. I'll say be specific. Don't be afraid to be narrow in who you work with best. So for example, a lot of our clients specialize in only working with people that are about to retire and that have a certain threshold of investable assets. And that allows them to have the best offering for that kind of clients. A lot of times they'll tell me, I do best with people that have 500,000 to 3 million. If somebody has 5 million, they probably won't go with me because they know that they have a specific income problem. They can solve that really well through using a specific approach and a specific philosophy. So being very specific helps you stand out and helps you attract the right people for your firm.
yeah, that's exactly what I would say. Like, figure out the one thing you want to be known for, pick the channel that you think you would be really good at, whether that's video or LinkedIn, and just repeat it ad infinitum until that's the thing that everybody knows you're that guy. And I think, the right clients will come to you.
Awesome. Jerry?
I would say as you're getting started, align yourself with partners or mentors that can guide you through the process, and use data and science to guide your decision making. Don't go on instinct or just try to figure things out. You waste a lot of time and money. And as small business owners, cash flow is a real thing, and we want to make sure that you're getting the best return on your dollars.
I love it. All right, so there you go. If you're going to build some lead gen programs, you've got 4 places to start. Now, how do each of them do what they do? What's the data that backs it up? What's the story? You're going to get 4 chances here to see exactly how it's broken down. We're going to start with Brian from Smart Asset.
All right. Hey, everybody, Brian. See if I can work this thing. So Smart Asset is the web's largest personal finance platform. And we're the only one that has an intelligent donkey. So if you need one, we got you. And you can tell from the slide that we also have a really good compliance team. They wanted me to read that, but I don't think I have time. We are registered with the SEC. We get millions of consumers that come to us every month looking for financial advice. We also power tools for third-party websites like the Wall Street Journal, MarketWatch, Barron's. And because we have this massive audience, we're able to help advisors like you generate more AUM than the Fidelity and Schwab referral programs combined. Okay? And there's one thing you need to understand about this to make it work for you. Our form of lead generation is a numbers game. Okay? This isn't referrals where they're going to convert at 95%. So if you get 100 leads, you can expect to close 3 to 5 new clients. So to make this work for you, you need to trust in the law of large numbers. Don't get 10 leads and then be like, oh, this doesn't work, okay? And you need a repeatable system of outreach that's going to nurture and convert these leads. All right, now real quickly, I want to give you a sense of what's possible with Smart Asset. So these are 3 different advisors who have very different firms, but they're all successful with us because they do a few things right. Okay, so first we have TJ. He launched his practice a few years ago. He's generating 1 to 2 new clients on average through Smart Asset, spending a few $1,000s a month. Second, we have Robert. He was a wirehouse advisor for over 20 years in Texas, decided he wanted to go to independent. Now he's generating about as much as $25 million in AUM through Smart Asset a year. And we also work with large enterprise firms like Pure Financial. Joe Anderson, their CEO, says he knows for every $1 million he gives Smart Asset, he's going to turn that into $100 million in net new assets. Okay? So this can work for a lot of different people, provided you're willing to do the work that we're going to help you do. Now, there's 3 things that you got to do well. And it just so happens that Smart Asset built what we call AMP, our advisor marketing platform, to help you do these very 3 things. So the first one is systematic outreach. Okay, you can build and automate nurture campaigns across text, email, and phone. A lot of the complaints we hear from advisors that are new to lead gen is they don't know who to call when. And so we take the guesswork out of that. Okay, you log in, you see what you're supposed to do, you do it, that's it. Second piece is education. This is critical. So because of our large audience, most people are coming to us to try and understand complex financial topics. And so your job is to customize your nurture campaigns to show how your unique value is going to educate them and solve their real problems. Okay? Some advisors, some of the most popular ones, will even offer a free financial plan or say, hey, we'll spend 2 hours together, I'll give you free complimentary advice, and you can go from there. And lastly, analytics. So this is a virtuous cycle when done properly. So you log into our advisor marketing platform and you can see, are you putting in the work? Is the performance of your campaigns on par with the advisors that are having success across the platform? So at any point, am I putting in the work to get the results that successful advisors are having on our platform? Incredibly powerful. So it's no longer like, man, I don't know how to do this lead gen thing. It's like you're either doing it or you're not doing it. And then lastly, you're going to have an awesome account manager. And this person is going to work with you from start to success to make sure you know how to implement this in your own business and succeed. We'd love to talk to you about this. We're at booth 202 in the exhibit hall. That's Smart Asset. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Alex.
All right.
Make sure you save 6 minutes for these guys.
All right, so Robert asked me to give you guys some actual takeaways. So there we go. So I'm going to share with you the 911 Facebook funnel, how we booked over 30,649 plus $1.5 million retirement planning consults. Specifically work with pre-retirees and retirees. That's the marketing that we target. So I'm going to have a lot of slides. Feel free to take screenshots of them. So a 3-step process is, initially, we have a 90-second video that drives curiosity with a hook. There's a story, there's education, there's a call to action to watch a 10-minute video. The second step is that 10-minute video. It's ungated. We don't ask anybody for their contact information or anything like that for them to watch it. And in that, we try to educate them. So if you're, for example, a retirement planning advisor, we educate them on tax planning, investment planning, income, probably healthcare, estate planning, all that. And at the end of it, we make a call to action. It's a very soft one saying, hey, now you know what you need to take care of. You can go and figure this out on your own, or you can get our help for free. So if you qualify, click the button to see if we can work with you. And what we promise you is we'll give you a no-cost retirement planning consultation and a no-cost retirement plan that is customized to you, that's high level, at no cost to you. And you can choose to work with us or take it somewhere else. And the third step is that scheduling tool where you qualify people up front. based on the assets that you want, and you don't let anybody book unless they have the minimum assets. So a lot of our advisors have a minimum of 500,000. So if somebody doesn't have that, they don't book. So it's not a lead, it's an appointment that's booked on your calendar, and there's some automatic reminders that go with that. And you can basically build this out on your own if you want to, and I'll show you how in the next few slides. Some key KPIs you want to look at is 1.5% click-through rate on the ad, 1.5% click-to-appointment ratio, which is the conversion rate on that second step, the landing page. And the cost per appointment we see at scale is $250 to $350 per appointment, provided that you have a minimum of $500,000. If your minimum is $100,000 or $1 million, it could be different, but that's what we see there. Here's a case study. So we had a solo advisor with a broker-dealer who started with us in July of 2022. Within just 5 months, by November of 22, he had 3x his revenue. So he went from $100,000 a month in income to $300,000 a month of income by November. And they were spending about $20,000 to $35,000 a month on ads for this to work. So it's not cheap, but it's definitely profitable. Following up on that same case study. So by mid-2023, he founded his own RIA. So he broke away. And within 14 months, by 2024, they became an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. And they scaled their ad spend from $20,000 a month to over $500,000 a month, because it was very profitable for them. And I'll show you how. They didn't raise any money, it was all bootstrapped. Their appointment volume went from 60 to over 1,169 appointments per month as of February of this year. Okay, so their clientele is pre-retirees and retirees. Their model is 100% nationwide. It's virtual, there's no physical offices. They have a hybrid model, which allows them to collect $60,000 a year of average client value to their firm in year one, which allows them to quickly reinvest into growth. And their advisor growth went from 2 advisors by end of 2022, 5 by end of 2023, and over 15 by end of 2024. All right, so here are some 7 keys to success. I'm almost done. First is you need to have a unique message. That's the number 1 variable. And number 2 is you have to have a volume of messages. So don't expect to create 3 ads and for one of them to work. We've tested 3,000. You're probably going to have to test at least a dozen for one of them to actually pop and work for you. Number 3 is a direct message. So if you're talking about retirement planning, don't have something different than that in the actual message. So just be very direct about what you do. And 4th is realistic expectations. So the show rate, if somebody books an appointment with you, there's a 50 to 60% chance they're actually going to show up. So out of every 10 that book, you'll talk to 5 or 6, and a 10% close rate. And that's low compared to in-person, but that's really good for virtual. Number 5 is lookalikes, if you can use them. If you have at least 1,000 contacts in your database that fit your criteria, you can actually give that to Facebook, and Facebook will create a lookalike audience that's between 1 to 5 million people that match that criteria. And number 6 is patience. It's not immediate. It takes some time and capital. It's definitely not cheap, but it's worth it. All right, so next steps. If you want to do this on your own, you can create 10 short 90-second videos. That's the bare minimum. Number 2, I want you to create 1 10-minute video. And that video, again, is educational with a soft call to action in the last minute or 2. And number 3, you want to create a Calendly link with your qualifying questions. So if you don't take people below a certain level, have them disqualify themselves from that. And number 4, you want to launch, measure those KPIs, optimize them, and scale. All right, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. You really packed it in. All right, Rishi.
All right, Robert, thank you for having us on stage. Before we get started, just by a show of hands, how many of you have tried a lead gen service before? I see a few hands. How many of you would like to try a lead gen service? I expected more hands. All right, so part of this is I'm going to show you why it's important, how you get in front of those consumers, and then ultimately how to convert those leads. All right, so we've all seen stats out there that tell us how many consumers start their search online. But what's interesting to note is as the demographic moves younger, more and more people are going online. What does that mean? Where are they engaging? It's not just about search. They're engaging with the content on your website. They're looking at reviews. They're looking at social. They're clicking on paid ads. All of this is important to understand as you navigate this ecosystem. Now that we understand clients are online, how do we get in front of those clients? As I said earlier, and I recognize that this is self-serving, the easiest way to get started is leads. But when you're buying leads, that's not all you're getting. What you're getting is expertise from firms like ours that are combining in SEO, content strategies, social, AI, to help deliver that lead. But don't take my word on it. Look at some of the major brands. This is an impression share report in the last 12 to 18 months for the term financial advisor. Some pretty big brands up there. There's two takeaways here. Would you guys be surprised to know that all of those brands also buy leads from us and some other providers on stage? Do you know why that is? There is a lot of value when a consumer comes to a recommendation engine like ours and then gets matched to that brand. There's a lot of power there. For those in the audience, the second takeaway is if you don't have the funds to be on that first page, guess what? Working with a provider like us, you get access to those same leads that these Fortune 50 or Fortune 100 companies are targeting. So the audience is extremely relevant. All right, so now we've agreed that consumers are online. We've all agreed that lead buy is the way to go. How do we convert that lead? We put out a white paper, which I encourage you to download, which will go into more detail. But I'm going to share with you 3 takeaways. Number 1, speed to lead. I'm going to assume that your messaging is on point. Regardless of anything else, speed to lead is super important. 2, our own example. We started using conversational SMS, I think it was 2021. We have seen a 2.5 times increase in our engagement. Please, please, if nothing else, incorporate SMS into your outreach channel. It is an extremely powerful tool. We're all addicted to our cell phones, so are consumers. That's where they want to engage. Let's meet them there. The last one is be different. The session yesterday that Sally put on was fantastic. I took a lot away from that. And the easiest way for everyone here to stand apart from competition is to do reviews. This is not something that takes a long time. My colleague was on a panel yesterday. We can educate you on how to get started in a compliant manner. That is the reason, after being in the industry for 20 years doing lead gen, we had the opportunity and we acquired IndieFin 2 years ago. While not everybody here raised their hands to do lead gen, I hope everyone here raises their hands to say we need to do reviews, because I think that is applicable to every firm out there. That is what consumers are going to engage with, and it creates a great way for you to engage prospective clients. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rishi. Excellent.
So some great data out there. And I've got data to share with you too, but I also know that storytelling means that you'll remember stuff a little bit better. So I'm going to try to communicate one big idea that you can take home, implement in your practice. So I wanted to share my observations after 20 years in the business on what separates top financial advisors and firms from the rest of the industry. And to do that, I'm going to ask that you go on a time machine, get in your DeLorean with me, and we're going to go back to our childhood. And we're going to review this story, The 3 Little Pigs. We're all familiar with it, but today we're going to put a marketing twist on it. So the first little pig, he wanted to get started quickly. So he built his house out of straw. He dived in without a plan, and he went all in on one social media platform. And it worked well for him. He was having good results until the big bad wolf showed up and huffed and puffed. And he blew so hard he changed the advertising policies of the social media platform. And the once friendly algorithm became the little pig's worst enemy. The lucrative revenue he had enjoyed evaporated almost overnight. And with that, the big bad wolf flattened the straw house and the little pig's dreams. Up the road, his brother, the second little pig, was building his house out of sticks. And this pig understood that diversification was key to long-term success. In fact, he loved new ideas. He had attended Jolt in Vegas 2 years ago, went home and implemented a ton of different things. But he had missed one key session, a breakout, on tracking and knowing your numbers. So when the big bad wolf visited him and huffed and puffed and disrupted his cash flow, he didn't know what to turn or what to fix to get back on track. And with that, he gave up, and his stick house collapsed. Now, the third pig, he built his house out of brick. And he took the time, unlike the first 2 pigs, to formulate a marketing blueprint, an actual plan. And he founded his decision-making on data and science, and he made a priority on revenue-producing programs that fueled his business, profitable ROI. He developed systems for his staff that were repeatable and scalable, and he tracked religiously his marketing metrics and conversion metrics. One of the key things that he did differently, and fortunately, he aligned himself, he connected with Leading Response early on, and they helped guide him through what was working in his market. So they referenced data from over 37,000 events, told him what was working in his local marketplace so that he could optimize and make good decisions. They also shared with him important information from Track That Advisor on what was working and actually producing results. As you can see, 25% of production in 24 came from live events. And that's not necessarily dinner seminars. I know that's the first thing that pops in your mind. But it could be dinner events, it could be educational workshops, could be theaters, could be sporting events, a box, doesn't matter. It's an event, it's social, it's one-to-many. And this little pig, he invested in his business and he started doing events and having success. The takeaway that I want you to have, even though the big bad wolf visited him, his foundation was solid. It was built with concrete. And he eventually became the top producer at his company because he involved systems and really focused on not just being the best advisor, but using data science and systems, marketing systems, to be the best known. So I know this story's not real because pigs don't offer financial advice. But the takeaway I want you to have is have a plan, have a system, and have the discipline to stay with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I have to say, as a marketer and a father who reads to his son at bedtime, that really resonated with me. All right, so first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of our lead gen providers. Thank you so much for coming, sharing 4 strategies with us. Very good. I will say this is only 4. We don't have unlimited time. There are many other great lead gen providers, Asanova, Dataline. And although I promised from the beginning this would never be a Snappy Kraken conference, I do want to tell you, because we have 7,000 advisors, they all use different lead gen providers, and they all have success with all of these providers. I can tell you categorically in our data, every single one of these lead gen providers actually drives business growth. Advisors will not tell you that because they either succeeded or failed with one or more of them, and it all has to do with what happens after. That's the biggest determining factor. And what happens before in the media. You heard that from Josh Brown. So you've heard all of these things about what you have to do to set the foundation. You fill the pipeline, and then you've heard all of the things you have to do afterward to actually make that pay off for you and your business. So the one 30-second Snappy Kraken commercial you will get at this conference is right now. There you have it. That's how you market. All right. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Really nice job. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Lucy.
I'm still winning.